Y'all locked in on the Let's Be Honest podcast, and I'm your humble host, DeShields II. And as y'all can see, I'm joined by a very, very special guest. My man is an entrepreneur, author, businessman, public speaker, mentor, relationship guru, and most importantly, and last but not least, a father. My man, Naiym Dingle. Now look, y'all got to show my man love for sure, man. How you feeling? I appreciate you for being here. How you feeling, man?
I'm blessed. It's kind of a tough week for me right now. I just lost my nephew.
So yeah, I heard about that.
I'm processing, but all in all, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here.
Yeah, man, I heard about that, and it's crazy. Philly, this past weekend been tough for a lot of people. I lost somebody close and dear to me this past weekend as well. And it's something you really can never get used to, especially being in Philly. Yeah. And I believe it was your nephew, right?
Yeah. For me, it was my nephew. Sorry to hear about your loss too.
Yeah, it was one of my old heads. Growing up, we called him Mr. Hill. Real thorough boy, just had a real strong hand in raising me. And my man had issues with his heart, so. It's crazy. We can't. It's not up to us, right? It's never up to us. But all we can do is just fall in line and do the best we can to cope and try to move forward as a unit.
Yep. Try to process. That's all I've been doing, just trying to process. It's inevitable. So, whenever that day come, you know what I mean? It's definitely painful, but it's just, trying to process through it all.
For sure. And, you bringing that up, that just leads me to one, a way I like to start my podcast, a way I like to get right into it. I like to get a life temperature of people on a scale of 1 to 10. So I normally start with five key areas to me. That's business, relationships, and that's family, friends, loved ones, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So, let's just start with number one, business. How would you scale everything for yourself right now on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to business?
I think I'm minimizing my focuses within my business, so I say I'm at like a 6 or 7.
Like a 6, okay. Right. Now you said you trying to minimize your focus. So what would you say is exactly keeping you from being at an 8, 9, or a 10? You were saying that you probably may have your hands in too many pots.
Yeah. So just delegating correctly, basically having my business being able to autopilot themselves, you know what I mean? And continue to sustain, you know what I'm saying, without so much fluctuation through my ups and downs. I don't need my business to match me. I need them to be able to sustain at a high level regardless. So me trying to minimize my focus gives me the ability to be able to key in on certain areas and then delegate others. And then, just keep the business growing. So that's the process I'm in right now. So I feel like, within the next couple of weeks, I should be able to get to like a 9, 10. But me taking a step back, of course, got to give up the game. So that's where I feel like I'm at a 6, 7 because I'm still trying to, get used to this new way of operating and delegating.
Yeah, it's definitely different when you start to put people in positions of power and, have to be more hands off and have other people and trust, and we definitely gonna get into that later on in the podcast as far as just building building a team. I got so many things lined up for us to talk about. That just dawned on me, once I found out about this conversation we was gonna have, and my wheels just start turning because somebody like you, that's an entrepreneur that wears so many different hats, you get pulled in so many different directions. So how would you scale your relationships, family, friends, loved ones? How would you rate that for yourself on a scale of 1 to 10?
So, well, now I'm gonna say 8 because I've been more intentional about giving my family time and checking in and making myself accessible to them, and also, accessing them and taking advantage of that opportunity that I have to access my family. So, like, I just had my kids with me in Georgia for like the last 3 weeks. I just brought them back to Philly. You know what I'm saying, today. So I had them. I've been more in contact with my mom, my sisters. You know what I mean, aunts. My dad, who I recently just got back into contact with, been more in contact with him. As far as in love relationships, I'm not sure if that was, a part of this, but, it's a part of relationships.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's all the same head, the same umbrella, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm dating, you know what I mean? Like, just exploring my my singleness, but, dating, you know what I mean? So I got a few different women, but, I'm just dating. You know how that go. You know what I mean?
Hey. Hey, listen, when you single, you gotta try. You gotta try your hand in a few different places, because how you gonna know if you find Mrs. Right? You know what I'm saying? You gotta find, you gotta find the omega to your alpha. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, yep.
So I feel that now.
Yeah.
Mentally, how would you scale that?
Well, shit. That's you did mentally. It's like right now, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm processing. So like I'm going through the motions of my emotions right now, considering like everything would just happen. Like, I just recently lost my grandpa just 2-3 weeks ago. So I was
military man, right?
Yeah. I was dealing with that, and then this happened with my nephew. So two different people that was very much a part of my life in different ways. And but mentally I'm good. Like I got therapy. I be in therapy. I got a therapist. So, and I have a lot of therapeutic conversations. So like I would say, even through this process, like my mindset, like I'm focused, like I'm good. Like I feel like my mindset would definitely be like an 8 right now. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing stopping it from being a 10 is the coping and dealing with the tragic loss of my nephew, and then the untimely death of my granddad.
Yeah, man, and that just flows right into the next category, emotionally, because as humans, right, we can be a tip top shape mentally, as far as we hitting all our marks and we checking all our boxes, but sometimes we get so used to checking the boxes and doing what we're supposed to do in our daily, we become to be on autopilot just as people. You know what I'm saying? And you mentioned the loss of your grandfather, or the loss of your nephew, who was an up and coming music artist in Philly.
Yeah,
right?
Very promising rising star. But emotionally, shoot, I would rate myself, honestly, being realistic, probably like a 6. And the reason I say that is because if you had asked me this 3 weeks ago, my emotions would have been a 0. Because like you said, being an autopilot, I haven't been really connected to like I got it, just like getting to a point where like how you get so comfortable with life that you just start to understand at a level of just like certain things don't trigger you emotionally as much as they once would when you wasn't as emotional intelligent, right? So emotionally intelligent. But with me losing my nephew, my granddad, it kind of shook me. But I understood he was older, 79 years old. Me losing my nephew abruptly like this, I ain't felt like this. Like I haven't felt like I got the ability to empathize, and I've always been a compassionate person, but still being detached from my emotions. This right here hit me in such a way that I'm not numb. I feel it. So, my emotions is like, I feel like they're coming back. And like, I'm grateful that I'm able to feel again, because I felt like, I was just looking at life as, is life. Like life goes. My daughter was saying this, and she only 12, in other situations, not involving death, but just like, yeah, dad, life goes on. Like she could be upset about something, and I try to talk to her, and she'd be like, it's fine, life goes on. And like, I was like trying to channel her to get into like, expressing herself. But subconsciously, that was how I've been living for the last couple of years. Since I lost my homie back in 2013, I've been on a life goes on journey. So me losing my nephew, I don't feel like, damn, life goes on. I feel like I'm actually, handling it and dealing with it, through this process, but I actually can feel again. You know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed to say I'm fucked up about it. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like fucked up about that. Like, I don't know if you could curse on your podcast.
No, bro, listen, like this ain't one of them, you got to be all buttoned up. This is one of those, I prefer people to be as real as they possibly can. I prefer for people to be their authentic self, because, you said something real key. The fact that you had shut off that emotional valve for so long.
Yeah.
And then, going through what you going through right now with your family, and losing the untimely loss of your nephew, RIP to him. That it's one of the most, it's a feeling you don't want to feel, but at the same time, it reminds you that you're human.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I feel human again.
Yeah. And then spiritually, because I feel like spiritually this ties everything together, because regardless of what you may believe, God, Allah, who basically the same thing, just different language, but whatever you may believe, I feel like we all trying to find that balance of all the the 5 things I mentioned: business, relationships, mental, emotionally, spiritually. I feel like we all trying to find that balance. How would you rate yourself right now, especially on your journey? Just
spiritually, I would say I'm at an 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Upward, transcending upward. You know, because I'm tapped in spiritually. Like I'm always tapped in. It just really just trying to, you know, figure out whatever it is that, you know, that like what is it that I'm trying to learn, or what is it that I'm being shown or was being revealed to me, you know, throughout this journey, and just, you know, trying to understand and accept whatever it is. So I say an 8 because I'm always tapped in spiritually. Like I'm never disconnected spiritually. Like no matter what I'm going through, whether high or low, I understand that it come down. I understand that it's just all about, you know, me being able to vibrate at a certain frequency. You know what I'm saying? How well I'm tapped in. So I'm always in tune. Even when shit going wrong, I'm tapped into what's going on and trying to figure out, and like, you know, what am I doing or what am I not doing, or what is it trying to show or reveal to me? So I'm always focusing and letting God guide me. Even if it's going in a direction I ain't see for myself, I just be giving it to God.
Bro, that's heavy, bro. Because like, you know, sometimes the more successful we get, the more detached we become, because we get so used to our efforts being the reason why we're here, but we forget that we ain't the only one pulling the strings.
Yeah.
You feel me? Yeah. And, you know, you mentioned your journey. You mentioned the fact that you're from Philly. How did you, I want to start to like keying on you. So how did you even earn the nickname Wolf? Because, or the Wolf or Wolf, like what would you prefer? Because, you know, I want to make sure my man like get his followers.
Like, if you're referring to me to somebody else, people say the Wolf. And if you're talking to me, it's just Wolf.
But so how would you how did you get that nickname? Did you always have it growing up? Is it something you got like along the way of your entrepreneurial endeavors? Like how did that nickname fall upon you?
Yeah, so I mean, me and all my friends, we always refer to ourselves as wolves, like since like forever. Like probably going back, I want to say at least like probably like since like 2013 maybe. We always refer to ourselves as wolves. But you know, me always being, you know, casted as a leader, you know what I'm saying, being, you know, the one that maybe been the face of everything through my music career or whatever the case may be. Before I was actually going by Wolf, I was going by Nasty Nah. You know what I'm saying? I still being called wolves. We still refer to ourselves as wolves because how we travel in the pack. You know what I mean? The innate characteristics of a wolf, you know, we resemble that. You know what I mean? Like just like unity. You know what I mean? Love, loyalty, leadership. You know what I'm saying? I'm alpha. You know what I'm saying? So just all of those different things. And then like they hunt together. You know what I mean? Me and my friends, we hunt together. I'm always on a hunt for something. Like part of my brand is hunt for. Like, what are you hunting for? Like some people hunt for love. Some people hunt for success. Some people hunt for healing. You know what I mean? Some people hunting for spirituality, or just different reasons that we all hunt. So, you know, me becoming the wolf, it was just something like when I started to mature out of the Nasty Nah phase, my cousin always called me the wolf. Like he was always like, yeah, that's the wolf, but I just never referred to myself as wolf. And then, short funny story, I was doing my first speaking engagement at a high school, and they was like, well, how can we introduce you? What's your name? I was like, Nasty Nah. And they was like, we can't put that up on the board. So first I was about to defend it, but it was like, you know what? This is the day that I realized that it's time for me to switch it up. So I was like, yeah, just say Wolf on Wall Street. And the whole Wall Street thing came, and my friend had he was murdered, you know, a few years ago, 2013, when I had first became numb, and his name was Wall. So us just, you know, we changed our neighborhood block to Wall Street, and we started to do everything in honor of his name to keep his legacy alive. So me being the wolf, it's just like Wolf on Wall Street. So I was like, yeah, just say Wolf on Wall Street. So it had nothing to do with the movie or Jordan Belfort or nothing like that. I didn't even watch the movie when I said it. I heard it, but I never saw it. So it had nothing to do with that. But then, you know, just me being a wolf is just like, you know, the alpha, the leader. At the end of the day, I encourage everybody to embrace their inner wolf. You know what I mean? You got to tap into your inner wolf so you could, you know, to possess those innate characteristics. You know what I mean? Because you could like see lions and tigers may be stronger, but you ain't gonna never see a wolf a part of the circus.
Yo, hold on. That's a bar, bro. I'm not gonna hold. I never even heard that before. You definitely just put me on game with that one.
Yeah.
Damn. You see lions, tigers, they all strong, but you ain't gonna never see a wolf in the circus.
Never.
And you know, you mentioned the idea that you always been deemed as the leader.
Yeah.
Did you always welcome that responsibility?
Yeah, because I think that like when I was younger, I understood that I was a leader, but I think that I didn't understand the power of my influence and like how to gauge that power. So like, you know, if I'm involved in a certain activity, then my leadership can be, you know, taken a different way. But as I got older, I started to properly channel it. You know what I mean? But I always been called the leader. I never called myself a leader, and I never even understood leadership until I got older and started to study it and started to realize the differences between good leaders, bad leaders, great leaders, and people who just not leaders at all. You know what I mean? Because you know the law of polarity. We need leaders, we need followers. You know what I'm saying? But just trying to figure out what type of, because, you know, some people might be good at leading in other spaces, and other people might be good at leading other spaces. Just knowing where you are strong and where's your strengths at for your ability to lead. But yeah, it always got casted on to me, whether I was the captain of my basketball team or, you know what I mean, the leader of my friends, or, you know, even just the parents saying like, you know, like they following behind him. Like, you know, it's always been that since I was young. But as I got older, you know what I mean, and I started to have more of a sense of direction, I was able to channel in on my leadership and actually lead the right way versus just being a leader because I might be intelligent or I might have a plan. Start being able to plan for everybody around me and not just myself.
Yeah, because one of the biggest traits, one of the most important traits of being a leader is being able to execute, right? And not just being able to execute, but also just channeling or being able to channel from your experiences. How would you say your experiences shaped you into the leader that you are today, the man that you are today?
In every way, my everything I've experienced is a direct result of the leader, the type of leader I am today, because now I'm leading through experience, right? So I feel like God always sent me through it first. I don't lead where I don't. If like I'm don't get me wrong, like, you know, some of these paths is uncharted. We got to just go on faith. But basically, like, everybody know about me, like a lot of this is from experience and me doing due diligence. You know what I mean? Being a solutionist. So like a part of me being a great leader is being able to solve problems, and I take accountability. And not only do I take accountability, hold the people around me accountable. You know what I mean? I handle my responsibilities, but all of the things that I've known to become responsible for have came from me messing up in the past, me fucking up. You know what I mean? So my leadership has strengthened through my bad experiences, through my fuck ups. And like I said, I always find myself in a position to lead from some shit that I've experienced directly. You know what I'm saying? And if it's something that I haven't experienced and we're going to go on an uncharted course, then I'm going to do the due diligence to make sure that we at least charting this course with as much wisdom and knowledge as possible. So my experience is a direct result of my leadership. Because without them, how can I possibly lead you where I never went? Like, there's just certain areas I want. Like, I'm a great follower too. Like, I'm great at taking leadership. In order to be a great leader, I had to be a great follower first. So, like, you know, I have people that mentor me, that teach me, and, you know, I bring the information and I teach the people that I'm supposed to teach. They take it to the people they're supposed to teach, and, you know, it's a direct, you know, pipeline of leadership.
Wow. So, in saying all that, describe the importance, the value of surrounding yourself with a strong team, because you mentioned you always been the leader of the pack. Y'all always moved as a unit. Y'all always moved as wolves, right? And in the pack, there can only be one alpha, but everybody got a job to do. Everybody got a role. Some people's job is to scout for food. Some people's job is to scout ahead to make sure ain't no danger up there. Some people's job is to scout the enemy to make sure, all right, this is how we're gonna move. This is how we're gonna move back. Do we gotta move forward? Do we gotta move back? So on and so forth. Right. So just speak on just how pivotal it is to have that strong support system, that strong team around you. Yeah. Because what you're doing is you empowering people, you trusting people, not only the vision, you trusting people with the legacy.
100%. Yeah. It's about knowing your strengths and weaknesses and knowing how to identify the strengths and weaknesses of others, because proper team building comes behind proper placement. You know what I mean? So like knowing who you're around and what they're good at and putting them in spaces that make them comfortable. It's like coaching. The best coaches know how to bring the best out of their players. You can see one person play for the Sixers and then they get traded somewhere and be a superstar. And you're like, well, why wasn't they that when they was with us? You know, systematically, they just wasn't in the right place. So one thing that I'm good at is being able to, you know, identify strengths in people and properly positioning them so that within my leadership, because it's not like, see, being a leader is not being a boss or not, you know, being the one that's just like calling the shots. It's about, you know, being able to know where you fit for the best, you know, outcome and for the best possibilities of the team as well. So, you know, like sometimes you can lead from out in front. Sometimes you got to lead from behind. Sometimes you got to lead from the side. Knowing where you're strong at is going to let you know when it's due. See, because I'm a different type of leader in different spaces. You know what I mean? Some people don't need you to hold their hand. Some people might need a push. You know what I mean? Some people might just need a direction. Some people might just need to know everybody not going to take the information the same. So you got to be able to be adaptable and adjustable. You know what I'm saying, to different situations. So the way I work with my team is, you know, everybody is comfortable with who they are. That's where it starts. So saying there's one alpha, we are alphas in our own way. Like it's not about, I'm not ahead of nobody. I'm just, you know, ahead of my task. So if my task is to come up with a plan, that's the only thing I'm in charge of. Your job, everybody's their own alpha in their own position. And as long as you're comfortable within your own skin, none of us is looking at each other like, well, I want chip spot, I want this spot. you know, it's cool. You know, through my journey, I have met people who wanted to, you know, embrace my role, and sometimes I step to the side and see what they got. Or, you know, sometimes you got to get certain people like that from around you because they could be detrimental to the development of the team. But you need everybody that can think for themselves, that's strong-minded, independent thinkers, but at the same time humble and can walk in humility, so that they not, you know, operating out of their ego.
Bro, it's crazy because like when you think about building a team and putting people in certain roles, you mentioned the fact that some people got to be comfortable in that role because maybe they're the best person for that role, and 100%. It's so easy to get caught up in, you know, the glitz, the glam, the lights, and you let somebody get in your ear saying, "Yo, damn, why he got you doing this? You smarter than this, you better than this." But sometimes, that's how a lot of people play themselves out of position. That's how a lot of people trick themselves.
And I'm gonna tell you this. You said one thing. You said how he got you. See, that's the key. I don't got nobody doing shit. I don't. People only do what they want to do. When you want to do it, you do it better. So I could see you like, oh shit, Tone good at this. Let me try to put this. Every time I did that, I went wrong because now you doing it for me. So when you no longer might, you know, be motivated or whatever, your only motivation was doing it for me, you're more likely to fall off the boat or jump off the ship. But when I got you doing something you love to do, and I'm gearing all of what we do around what you love to do, that's how I build. I build from your strengths, not mine, or not what I see for you. So, all right, Tone got the podcast. How can we incorporate what Tone does into what we do? So now you trying to be the best, because I tell people, you don't got to be better than me. Just be the best at whatever it is that you're trying to do for you. So if you're trying to be the best podcaster, it don't matter what I'm doing over here. You got your own platform that you focusing on building. I'm going to help you with it. So by me helping you, you helping me, the team is just overall going to benefit. So it's just like whatever it is, whether you look at the people I'm around now, it's me opening my platform to build a platform for them to do whatever they got to do. But what they do also coincides with what I do. So it's just in unison. And that's how you got to operate. It can't be you do it for the wolf. Because if you're doing it for me, the moment me and you ain't cool, you no longer want to do it no more. I need this to go on regardless. I need this to be for you. So you like, somebody try to get in your ear like, yeah, why he got you doing podcasts? Oh, no, actually, I want to do this podcast. He don't got me doing nothing. This is my podcast. This is my show. He just back in the play. So like, you know, that's kind of how I try to go about things.
Yeah, and then you got the people who they fake like they down for the.
Oh yeah.
They fake like they cool with this role. You say, hey, I was thinking, I know you got this skill, but like, why don't we put you in this position?
Yeah.
And they say they comfortable with that,
yeah.
But behind closed doors, they waiting for you to slip. How do you monitor things like that? How do you make sure that everybody is still on the same page? How do you try to nip those things in the bud before we even get to that point?
I think it's really just about, you gotta be attentive, and you gotta realize when you projecting a role into somebody, or when they are accepting or recommending a role for themselves. See, because like I said, I've done it multiple occasions where I'm like, all right, damn, this person look like they real good with graphics. Let me make this the graphic designer. But they might hate doing graphics. They might be good at it, but they might hate it. They might want to be a videographer. The whole here I am going off the fact that you're so good at doing graphics that I'm trying to position you as the graphic designer. So the whole time you're doing something you hate, but you are talented at it. To me, I'm just taking it like you good at it. You gotta love it because you're good at it. And the whole time I misplaced you. So what I like to do is have conversations to kind of see where, and I always say, what do you want to do? Because you might not be a fit for what I got going on, and that's perfectly fine. But if you say I want to do graphic design, you can never resent me for what you said you wanted to do.
And then go back to communication, because it's a lot of, sometimes we get in business with people that we close to, or maybe we may not be close to them, however you want to put it. A lot of the time businesses fail because of lack of communication. A lot of times the chemistry becomes radioactive because of lack of communication. You know, what are some ways that you have, you know, made it a point to just make sure that the line of communication is always open, you know, for the people that work with you, work for you, work around you, so on and so forth?
Encouraging it. Yo, we could talk to me. Like I didn't bring y'all here to not have a voice. Like, it ain't just my way of thinking. I just was telling my homies this. We got 3 minds. We need to use all 3 of them. When I pitch something, it ain't for, unless y'all just 100% agree and y'all have no input, suggestions, tips. I encourage open communication, and I'm about having the difficult conversations first. So part of me being a wolf is we checking shit at the door. We're not letting it pile up we're going to communicate. So part of the communication, and communication ain't people only communicate when they're mad. I don't want to wait till we get to that point. Let's talk before the emotions get high.
Why do you think that is though?
Because
like why do you think? And that's mainly men. It seems like
they got to build up the confidence to say how they feel. You know what I mean? When you're mad, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Been there, done that.
Consequences, no nothing. You just go and lash it off, and it's not good to do that. So I'm about having tough, difficult conversations. Like if me and you doing this podcast, and it's like some shit. Like I don't want you to ask a particular question or go about. I'm not gonna even let it get there and then be like get mad during the interview. Why would you ask me that? I'm gonna say, yo, listen, before we go online, I just want to stay away from these topics because I'm not ready to discuss whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Now, right. I'm full transparency. I don't care. I'm ready to talk about anything. But I'm just giving you an example of how I would just have whatever the tough conversation is up front. You know what I mean? If you take it personal, I mean, I really can't change that. But I feel more better knowing that I directly communicated versus, me just bottling that up and then allowing you to trigger something that you didn't even know was becoming radioactive in a sense.
Right. And then me, if I do my due diligence and do right by the relationship, at that point we can build even further beyond that. And then 100%. We may get to a point where you're able to have that conversation.
Whatever it is, right.
But if I take it upon myself hypothetically to say, no, this is what we're going to talk about, then at that point the bridge is burnt. 100%. And then at that point the chemistry becomes radioactive, and now we don't mix no more.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how people play themselves out of position. You say you got so many mantras, so many jewels that you've been dropping in just this past half an hour. What's the most valuable piece of advice you've ever received? Because it seemed like you feel with so much knowledge, so much advice to give. What's the most piece of valuable advice that you've ever received throughout your career?
Don't take nothing personal.
Why that in particular?
Because for one, I used to have a tendency to do that. You know what I mean? And for two, it's just understanding that nothing is personal. Like, so basically, like, I don't let a compliment go to my head and I don't let an insult go to my heart. You know what I mean? Because what you say about me, how you act towards me is going to be predicated on how you feel internally. So, like, if you're nice to me, it's because that's how you feel. If you're mean to me, that's because how you feel. Me taking your emotions and internalizing them to now allow you to project it onto me and me to, give energy back to it, it's just not productive. You know what I mean? It's for me. I learned so much from I'm a sponge for new information, right? But the don't take anything personal is not even something that I feel like was the most valuable information I received. I just think it's something that I should be sharing with the people that may be watching. It could be the most valuable information for them because we're talking a lot about relationship building and communication. And, this requires a certain level of understanding and transparency and comfortability. And the way you allow somebody to do that is to not take anything personal. So you'll be comfortable to say however you feel if you know that I'm not going to be mad about what you're about to say. But if you feel like you might offend me to some degree, you're going to filter it. So me telling myself to not take anything personal allows room for feedback, criticism, suggestions, tips, and it allows room for me to not feel like everybody is against me if opportunities don't go my way, or if somebody gets on my team and then quit, or if they get some information from me and run off. And you know what I mean? I don't feel like it's about me. I just feel like, everybody got their own stuff that they're dealing with, and it's just not personal. So, that's just something that I want to share. But like I said, I'm a sponge for new information. So I'm constantly learning stuff every day. So it'd be hard for me to tell you what's the most valuable information I receive. But I just know I'm still practicing discipline and patience. So that's the thing that I'm trying to learn at the highest level. Because people will look at me, you got a level of discipline and patience. But I need to get it to like Army level. Like I need, up at 5 a.m. We're ready to work out discipline.
I feel like people don't understand that discipline is something that it's not something that you just get to. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's fluid. It's always changing based off a situation because new problems, new situations always arise. And you always, like you said, always need to remain a sponge to make sure that you taking in the right information, make sure you're wringing out the wrong information, getting rid of it. You know what I'm saying? What's your mindset on what's your mindset on the art of remaining teachable? Because I feel like some people, when we get to a certain age, we just think we're supposed to just stop learning. We're supposed to just stop, taking new information. We're supposed to stop accepting new opinions or maybe changing our old ones. What's your thoughts on the art of just remaining teachable?
So I always say the moment you stop knowing, you stop growing, and the moment you stop learning, you stop earning. I never become an expert.
Become an expert, right? And I'm just thinking about everything you've been saying, and just first time meeting you, first time having a conversation with you, you seem like you seem to be such an expert. I don't want to say expert at life because that's something we always learn, but you seem to be an expert of self. Self-awareness is so important. How valuable has that become throughout your endeavors?
I'm a student of myself, bro. Constantly learning from everything, being open to it. And and one thing about me, and I always say I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And like me knowing what I know allows me to speak to certain topics, right? Me knowing what I don't know allows me to sit back and listen and learn. So that's where it's like that balance. The reason I say never become an expert, because the moment you become an expert, right? Let's look at a classroom setting, right? If you are the student, you could look to your left and right and you're gonna see people. You look in front of you, what you gonna see?
You're gonna see the teacher right there.
All right. As a student, what could possibly be what's behind you in times two? More people. I won't even play.
More people with the windows.
You're the teacher.
Say it again.
What's behind you when you're the teacher?
Chalkboard.
Just the board. So everybody's looking at you for the answers. You're supposed to know. And if you don't, you see what I'm saying? You don't really have once you get up and take that, you don't really have nobody to tell you the answer because everybody is looking at you like the expert. But
so it's all about putting that it's all about not putting that extra expectation or pressure on yourself to be the expert. It's always to always keep people aware that I'm learning just like you.
High performance student. I'll be the one in your class that might can tutor you.
Okay.
I'm still a student though.
I like that. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a high performance student.
I'm a high performance student. You know what I'm saying? And like if somebody else want to stand up there and be the expert, I'm gonna just learn from them. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not going up there to be expert. I'll share what I got to the class. I don't mind presenting, but I'm coming back to my seat and taking more notes. A lot of people get up there and be like, oh, I control the class. And they fall in love and they start feeling like they have to know. And that's a sense of unnecessary pressure because now this is where all these gurus is being birthed, feel like they have to know and they gotta, have answers. And this is why people are just putting information out there, whether it's right or wrong, trying to be the first to have the information. I'm sit back, I speak when given the opportunity to speak, or when I feel like, I have something to contribute to the conversation. If I have value to add, like, oh, excuse me, so what I raise my hand. Hey, so did you say this, or what's up with this, and just, being active in that classroom. But I'm constantly a student though.
And it's crazy because that's the age we live in, right? We live in an age where information is just at our fingertips and everybody is a so-called expert. Everybody is a so-called master of really none, but we claim to be masters of everything. You know what I'm saying? And just think. Just thinking about, just doing my little research on you and, trying to, figure out who you are before we had this conversation. I noticed that you may not be a master of life, but you are in the midst of mastering the many streams of creativity and entrepreneurship that you got going on. We got the First Step Marketing, which is the business of yours. Here to There Transportation. Mentoring with the Wolf. And most notably, cheating is not cheating.
Yep.
What motivated you? No, my bad. Go ahead.
I just got an event space, different experiences.
Now it was crazy, right? I was on your Instagram and I saw that, and I wasn't sure if were you promoting it or was it actually yours. And that's tough. So you just got an event space in the Georgia area, right?
Yeah.
That's tough. Now what was it like? Locking that in, because that couldn't have been an easy task.
No, it was God. Listen, one day I was out there. I sponsored a Mother's Day brunch for a couple mothers through Here to There Transportation Co. My now partner, but at the time was just a good friend. I got introduced to her through a friend of mine, so she became a good friend. She owned a spa, and it was a building next door to the spa, and I didn't know that she had both of them. So I was just like, yo, I would do something with this building. And her brother was like, what you want to do? I'm like, well, I'll probably do like an event space. He's like, all right, let me see. Because my sister was trying to figure out what she wanted to do with it anyway. I might go pitch it to her. And then, we were signing the papers 2 days later. So it just happened. Like I didn't wake up that morning planning to do it. I just literally seen it. And she was just open to it. And we just partnered up. And, You know, God just made that happen like instantaneously.
The value of relationships. The value of relationships. You know,
and giving back. Because if I would have never sponsored the brunch, I would have never been there.
So you see, all right, I like that. So it started from you wasn't even looking for that type of blessing. You wasn't even looking for nothing to get from that. You entered that with gratitude. You entered this relationship with gratitude, respect, just giving, right? And you ended up earning something potentially lucrative out of it.
Exactly.
And I feel like a lot of the time we approach that backwards.
Yeah.
We look too quickly. We're looking for the dollar amount and not understanding the opportunity.
100%.
Just speak on how sometimes it can be difficult to weigh that, especially if it's a certain dollar amount weighed in front of you. Have you ever been tested where opportunity may not have outweighed value?
Yeah. So I think that value is what you see it to be. You know what I mean? And because money isn't the only form of compensation to me, I often reap different benefits. Like I'm off of relationship building. So I know with this new generation, everything is predicated on, you know, what can you do for me before I could do for you? But I'm more so as what can I do for you? I don't even ask what you can do for me. You know what I mean? Because like I'm here to serve. Like I try to be a beacon of light, and I feel like God uses me as a tool. And I just, you know, whatever he's going to reward me. Like, you know what I mean? Like God, the universe will reward me. Like, I don't have to go into something and try to gauge your value. That's like me looking at platforms and be like, oh, I'm not going on this particular platform because, you know, this platform isn't as big as this last platform. No, I'm like, listen, I appreciate everything. The first thing when you say, yo, I'm glad to have you, I said, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. You know what I mean? Because for me, it's how can I help you? Whatever you could do for me is just a plus. I get a kick out of serving. All of my businesses is service based, bro. All of them.
Yo, it's funny you said that. You're absolutely right. Here to the transportation, you helping people get from point A to point B,
and provide them an experience.
And provide them a whole experience. First step marketing, you helping people get their LLCs off the ground, helping them execute their business plans,
websites, logos, everything.
And then the mentoring with the wolf, you giving people game, you giving people knowledge, giving people your experience, which is ultimately the best teacher. Changing their mindset, especially the young people. I feel like a lot of our young people could definitely use that. Just seeing somebody from where they're from that look like that look like what they look like, and they're showing them, hey, it's very much possible. This is what I did. This is where I came from. What motivated you to be an entrepreneur though? Because that's not a lane for the weak at all.
Yeah. I never had a job in my life. I applied to different jobs. I think I went to one Walmart orientation. And matter of fact, I did take a temp job and I made it to my lunch break and then I quit. So I was there for like 2 hours maybe. I quit at my lunch break. I never went back. But that was more in the recent years. But yeah, I really never had a job. I never received a job paycheck. I don't know what it's like. So I was an entrepreneur. The first time I heard the word was when I was 7. So I was in 2nd grade and my mom used to give me $5 for lunch every day. And what I would do is, at the time, stuff was cheaper. I would take $2.50, get a hoagie, some chips, soda, maybe some candy or cake. And the last $2.50, I would just buy soda, chips, candy, cakes, whatever I could get. And or $3, either $2 or $3, whatever.
Yeah.
I used to
back in the day. That was when things. What man? We can't even speak on that no more. Like these days, a hoagie like $5, $6, man.
So I used to open up shop on my desk. It used to be 4 desks in a group in my 2nd grade class, and like my classmates would let me put my sodas on their desks, whatever. And I had a little store running. And one time my teacher walked up to me and said, "What you got going on here?" Because it was always a line and shit. Like I'm like, I'm selling these snacks. She said, "You doing what?" She said, "How much you selling it for?" I said, 50 cents. She said, "How much it cost?" I said, a quarter. She said, "Why you selling it for 50 cents?" I said, "Because I took the risk to go get it. So that's my fee." And she was like, "You're going to be an entrepreneur." So I never knew what it meant at that age, but I never not been an entrepreneur since that moment. I cut grass, barbershop. Yeah, it was planning.
She was planning.
I already knew that I was going to take this money, and I understood that I snuck off the school bus and I could get in trouble for this. So you're going to pay me for that. So I understood the risk factor. And the demand in the product, because there was nowhere else they could get it. They couldn't get the sodas and chips nowhere else. And it just and then I spent a lot of my years in the streets too. I was a drug dealer. So up until me catching my last drug case in 2016, I sold drugs for the vast majority of my my teenage years up until my early 20s while still trying to run businesses. So at 25 is when I completely, and I'm 28 now. So just three short years ago, I completely reformed myself and, just been on what I've been on.
That's heavy. That's heavy. And you didn't have to bring that up, right? But that's a part of your journey. That's a part of your path. That's a part of how you was able to carve out this present and potentially future for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and honestly, bro, I'm fully transparent now with my past because, like you said, it might be some young boy out here that's selling drugs and don't think he could do what I did. So I need him to know, like I ain't perfect. I got a record, you know? But this is all a part of me leading with my experiences. You can't be ashamed of who you are because what you went through is what made me who I am.
That's a fact. And the reality is we from where we from. Like me, I grew up 23rd and Diamond, Raymond Rosen Projects.
Yeah.
And literally, you know, I see the dope boys. I see everybody, you know, hustling whatever they could hustle. By the grace of God, I wasn't able to. I didn't have to take that route. Even though I grew up where I grew up, my mom, my parents, both my parents, like they kept us so much like just close knit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, for sure. But when it comes to my father, that was my father lane. You know what I'm saying? He weaved and he bobbed and weaved his way through that, and went through his own personal traumas as far as prison, addiction, so on and so forth. So by no means was the upbringing perfect.
Yeah.
But I was one of the most lasting things my father ever taught me growing up. Even while he was going through what he was going through, because even when he was going through what he was going through, he still never made me feel like that was him. And always like he was still my dad. You know what I'm saying? My mom never talked bad about him, so on and so forth. It was always like he still had this, it was strange. Like he had his habits, but he always felt like a dad to me, right? And one of the most valuable things he ever taught me growing up was a smart man learned from his own mistakes, but a wise man learned from the mistakes of others.
100%.
So when I heard that, I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention to everything niggas doing wrong, and I'm like, all right, let me not do that. I see where that could take niggas. I'm cool. 100%. I don't want to go that route, but making it through what you made it through, living your life and your story. How did you have that confidence from the very beginning? Do you think you was born with it? Was it instilled in you? Did you go through something and then all of a sudden you say, you know what, I gotta tighten up if this is gonna be me? Like, how did you maintain your confidence just being an entrepreneur on all levels?
I think so if I start, I always like to revisit, my past and try to figure out what I could take from certain experiences, how it might have domesticated, molded, or shaped me in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I used to spend a lot of the time, like I was sick a lot as a kid, right? So I was born premature, and I had early signs of cancer and different things like that. So I spent a lot of time in the hospital. So now honestly, I can't tell you the details of that extent because I was so young. I don't remember. I would have to get my medical record to tell you. But I just know I had a lot of surgeries and different things like that. So I spent a lot of time in hospital. And I remember, like, even when I think back on it, I always, for one, because I was born premature, I spent the first 11 months of my life in an incubator, then came home for the first months after that on a heart monitor. So, and then through my whole childhood, I always felt like I didn't have the opportunity to live like how I wanted to, and I always had this why me mindset. Like, why me? Like, I felt like a victim early in your life. Like I'm talking about, I'm depressed at 6 and 7 years old because I'm trying to figure out why doctors saying I can't play sports, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I remember having to fill out a Make-A-Wish Foundation slip. And I said I want to go to Disney World. And I didn't realize that the Make-A-Wish Foundation was for me if I was about to die. I didn't know that that's what that meant. I'm just thinking like, yeah, I'm trying to go to Disney World or whatever.
Hey, what's up? Like, make my wish come true.
I go to Disney World, my favorite place now. But I never went through them. I ended up going as I got older. But fact of the matter is, when I was cleared to even play sports, I told myself that I wasn't going to play with any opportunity. I was going to seize every moment because I'm grateful for it. I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. But in my mind, I'm like, there's a chance that I wasn't even supposed to be here. Yeah. Like, even if aside from all of the health problems I had, still being that 1 in a million chance of making it through, the whole conception process. But actually getting here and still having complications and going through things, I just told myself that I want what I want and I'm not letting nothing stop me from getting it. So when I was 9 and 10, and my mom, I would say I want sneakers, and she would say, son, next week I would go cut grass. After I stopped cutting grass, my brother laughed at me. He'd be like, yo, bro, you were so ahead of your time. We only a year apart. We used to laugh at you, call you the grass man, say you stink all the time. You 9 years old with a bankroll full of money and we don't have no money. We got to all ask our moms for money and you got money on you, but we laughing. He like, you was the first person talking about your career and what you wanted to do when you got older at 10, 11, when we busted on each other. You come back at us like, but y'all not going to be shit in life. Now, I'm not really trying to down talk nobody, but it was one of the things where it's like I already knew that given any opportunity, I was going to capitalize on it. So I went from cutting grass to sweeping the barbershop. I had to get $25 a day, and he used to give me 3 or 4 days a week, depending on his flow. So I was either making $75 or $100 for an 11-year-old kid. That was I was buying 2 pairs of sneaks a week. I only wore a size 4 or 5. I didn't have no big feet, so I'm getting new sneaks every week. I got money in my pocket to buy the girls ice cream. I fell in love with that, being independent. So it went from me saying, and my mom was still giving me $25 allowance every week. So my brother only getting that. I'm making 75 to 100 plus the 25 my mom giving me, and I'm being able to move around a little freely. I got accustomed to that. And then by the time, I think I tried to sell weed at like 15 for a little bit. It wasn't the most lucrative that time. But when I turned 16, I started throwing parties. And I would be making thousands of dollars in one night. So at that point, I was like conditioned, like I can't go work somewhere for 2 weeks and get paid $300.
Yeah, especially after coming off what you coming off, like especially like knowing what you used to. You like, well, I trust my leg work before I trust the man to bring me my check from floor 15 all the way down where I'm at. Like, no, like I'd rather put that trust in myself.
So the confidence is exactly what you just said. I trust myself. So I always say I'm gonna figure it out. I'm a solutionist, and I know what I want. And I always wanted to be in control of my own efforts. I want to feel like if I work hard, I get more. If I'm not working hard, I'm performance based. So going from cutting grass was on my own, me doing it on my own. Sweeping the barbershop was up to me, which was probably the closest thing I had to a job because I had a set pay. It didn't matter how much I sweat, but he was giving me what he was giving me. And then throwing parties, how hard I promote, get the people out, to being in the streets, how hard I, network and, promote and market myself and be able to move around is going to determine how much money I'm making, up to, running my first hair salon and selling hair bundles and being able to, how many hair bundles I sell. It was always being in control of my flow. So I keep my confidence because when I don't have money or if I'm not seeing success, I know it's because of me. I don't look and be like, it's your fault. And going all the way back to the why me mindset, I shook that and said, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. So I'm not saying why me. Like, I'm not saying why me. It's like, no, like I'm going to make it happen. I'm not waiting for somebody to come save me. I'm not hopeless. Like I got faith. I'm not hopeless. See, there's a difference between faith and hopeless. People that have hope is hopeless. People that have faith, I just know. I don't know how or what or where.
Yeah. You know it's going to get done. You know it's going to get done. No, I feel you on that. It's like, the having that itch, having that entrepreneurial bone in your body from the very beginning it's rare. They need to understand that you ain't gotta come from a silver spoon, gold chalice, to make it. You really don't. And if you understand the power that you have, because I always tell people, like, our dollar is the most valuable dollar in this country. The black dollar is the most valuable dollar. And the moment we truly understand that, the moment we understand the value in that, then we can execute as a people, as individuals, and then just put ourselves, put our families, our loved ones in better position.
Right.
But going through what you went through, with your help, with your previous health issues, and always asking that question, why me? Why me? And you even mentioned earlier on, not just in the podcast, but I saw on your page that you started therapy.
Yeah.
And you even talked about the thought of being afraid of the stigma that come with that. Because Black people, we always getting told to prey on it, right?
100%. But my mom even said, I don't need therapy. I just deal with it. Like, Mom, you need therapy. We all need therapy. Like, what are you talking about?
For sure. And, just in saying that, what has your experience been like so far going through your sessions? And of course, a lot of that stuff is confidential, but just speak on.
I'm perfectly comfortable. So for me, I think because I do a lot of self-reflecting, I think that like having a therapist for me is having somebody that I just don't know to just talk to. You know what I mean? And just being able to, because I might want to talk about people that's close to me. You know what I mean? Just a vent or whatever the case may be. And that ain't always good to talk to other people that's close to you about the people that's close to you, because it still comes with their perspective. So her perspective is completely unbiased because, she just, my therapist. But I have a lot of therapeutic conversations. Like I'm being open and transparent with you. I do the same thing with my therapist. It just, like, if me and you was to talk off camera and we talking about some stuff, and I'm being open and transparent, and I'm talking about, I don't know, my close homies or something, and I'm just expressing myself, you don't have a bias attached to it because you don't know them and you don't know me. So that's really what the therapy conversations be about. But I actually plan to record them and put them out. I'm perfectly fine with sharing my story. I'm not ashamed of what I've been through, who I am, and because I just don't know. I just know I'm a tool. I just know God uses me as a vessel. So I have to share my story because I went through it for somebody else to take from it. Or what was the point? If I take these this gift to the grave, who did I serve while I was here?
Man, and a lot of people don't understand. Like I said, a lot of people don't understand how valuable information, just knowledge, just knowing yourself can truly be. That's I was always told, if you can't keep it real with yourself, you can't keep it real with nobody. So what would you say so far? Because you said you've been going for about a month, right?
Yeah. No, I've been going for about 5 months.
I pretty much wanted to know, what have you learned about yourself throughout this therapeutic process for yourself?
Shit. I learned, she always asks a good question here and there that might make me think. Like one time she made me realize that, within my schedule, I might not be ready for a committed relationship. By one of the questions she asked, just because of how much time, but I understood that, immediately, just about how much time it might require, it's going to require, not might, the time it will require. And how much I'm constantly involved in my business endeavors, you know what I'm saying? So just trying to be able to create more of a balance in the long run. And I learned patience, because like with the first conversation, I wanted to go deep and I wanted to talk about everything. to talk about. And when I realized that she wasn't going that deep, that fast, I would start to get impatient. I'm like, what am I?
What I'm paying you for? Like,
where's all the solutions and stuff? But as the conversations progress, it might just be one thing per talk. And I don't know if she does that strategically to continue the sessions or if it's just how it flow. But I just learned that I'd be looking forward week to week to have a discussion with her, keep her updated, and just keeping me patient. So that's one of the things that I know for sure that I took from this process. That because healing is a journey, is a process. So being able to get it out, talk, that has definitely been giving me the patience and helping me build and sustain the confidence to kind of continue on with this healing journey without taking steps back or relapsing to any measures.
That's tough. That's tough to me because as a black man, right? We taught as men, but as a black man, because that's our perspective. As a black man, we taught to keep everything internalized. We're not taught to show emotion. We was told emotion is weakness, and emotion is showing emotion as being soft, and you're never supposed to show your hands, so on and so forth. And I do believe to a certain extent, it's important to be stoic. It's important to be balanced as a man. It's important to have that even kill mindset in the face of chaos. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we human, right? Yeah. And we go through things every day, just like everybody else. I feel like a lot of our young men is battling that right now. A lot of our young men either is acting too much off emotion, or they just not in tune with their emotion enough.
So this the balance, right? So for one, never act off emotion. So cross it out, right? So the thing is, you have to be able to express yourself through your emotions, but never act off your emotions. So the key to it is you can express your emotions. This is how you're in tune with them. Like, it's okay to say how you feel and feel that way. You don't have to repress it, but it's not okay to act off how you feel. Like, because I'm mad don't mean I can throw a tantrum or react violently, or just because of how I feel. It's okay for me to let you know I'm frustrated, I'm upset, I'm disappointed, I'm angry, but that don't mean I have to react with those emotions. As a men, we should just never do that. We should never act off our emotions, but it's okay to be in tune with them. So when you think about it, that balance is not a lever. It's not this or that. You just need to know, like, oh shit, I feel some type of way, but just because I feel this type of way don't mean I'm about to go ahead and do something irrational. So for me, because I'm not afraid to express myself, see, vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. People have been told it's a weakness, but it's a strength. You know how much strength it takes to wear you, to be, to feel, to allow yourself to feel, to leave room for that. You gotta learn how to channel. And I think for men, when they go wrong, like I said, we all acting in that narrative of vulnerability being a weakness instead of it being a strength. So a man feel like he can't feel. or he gonna look soft. He can't say how he feels. So the best way he can react is through anger, which is where, you know, a lot of the violence tend to transcend from. But if he feel like he could just say how he feel and there ain't gonna be no kickback, or he ain't gonna get looked at as soft, you know what I'm saying? We'll have more men, you know what I mean? Because some men be emotional, and it's about knowing, like I said, you should just never act off your emotions. Just never. Like, you can feel how you want to feel, just never create no actions behind your emotions. Take a day, take a moment, sit back, reflect, come down off whatever you're feeling. Come up from whatever you're feeling. Because sometimes you could be here, sometimes you could be there. But either way, you shouldn't be operating out of neither one of them states of mind. We have to be able to rationalize and move logically and strategically and be able to be solutionists. So something like, you can't, like, it's just like even when we dealing with death, like I'm processing, you know, what I'm going through, but I'm not reacting with rage. Even if I might feel frustrated at times through this process, that's not going to be enough for me to go move off of that. I got to be able to think logically behind everything that I do and every decision I make so I can stand on it. You know what I mean? So a lot of the times these young boys, these young men, they don't do that. They move off emotion, and then they never process. And then when they do stuff and, you know, they're facing the consequences of it, they can't take it because they never even understood what they was even putting themselves into. They just was upset.
Man, you know, it's like me, like just speaking for myself, right? It's like I always wore my heart on my sleeve. But for some reason in my mind, I always felt like, damn, like should I be expressing myself this much? Like, am I drawn? Like, but like you said, it's all about how you channel it. It's all about how you apply it. Because you could feel how you want to feel about anything you want, but how are we talking about it? How are we comprehending that? You know what I'm saying? How are we applying it? Because you could be completely justified in how you feel.
Yeah.
But then if you pick up a gun, or if you feel the need to put your hand on your lady, or you feel like you feel like you got a license to just do anything you want just based off how you feel, then now, as you said, you're not thinking strategically. You're not thinking you're not even thinking creatively. You're not even taking that extra time.
Emotions cloud your judgment, whether they're good or bad. They cloud your judgment. Just that simple. When you in love, you miss shit. When you hate somebody, you miss shit. If you ask somebody that loves somebody, they find the good. If you ask somebody that hates somebody, they find the bad. You know what I mean? I can't operate out of neither one. I got to see it for what it is. I call a spade, no matter how I feel. Because there could be somebody that I don't particularly fuck with, but that don't mean they're not smart, talented, educated, creative, whatever. I'm not going to allow my lack of for this person to create a block on whatever they are or whoever they are. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let my love for somebody take away from they might be a shitty individual. You know what I mean? I still love him. He's just a shitty individual. It's fine.
Hey, that's sturdy. And you know, you mentioned love, and you know, you briefly mentioned, you know, the concept of not acting off emotion, especially in your relationships. And you know, a lot of people do that in their romantic relationships. And you know, and I mentioned your various streams of entrepreneurship and creativity. One of your latest is your book "Cheating Is Not Cheating" that came out, I want to say April 2020, right?
Yeah. All right, look at you doing your research.
Hey, this is what I do, man. Listen, I love it.
Respect.
But you know, I want to key in on that because I actually just found out about your book. You know, once our mutual contact, Donnie Manziel, you know, reached out to me about talking to you. That's my man. Like, that's my man. Shout out to him. But you know, let's talk about that a little bit. You know, just I guess on the surface level, or just or wherever the conversation take us. Describe your experience writing this book. What did it take for you to get to this point to want to put out a book?
Having the same conversation over and over. I mean, I've always been a passionate person about writing. Like I've always did everything I did. Always had some form of writing, whether I was doing music, producing shows, or writing movie scripts. You know what I'm saying? I haven't never finished none of my movies, even though I started a couple of them. But I finished scripts. So I always had some. And then I took journalism in high school, in college. I majored in English, which required a lot of writing. So I always had the ability to communicate through words, through text. But I never thought about really writing a book till about, I think 2017 was when it first crossed my mind, but it just wasn't happening. I just couldn't get the word. I don't know. I just couldn't sit still long enough to write a book. And at the time, I had never even read a book outside of college textbooks by 2017. I didn't read a book until I want to say 2019. So after that, I fell in love with reading. So then when I started reading, for me, once I see something, I'm like, yo, I could do this. So through the pandemic, well, before the pandemic even hit, I started until the end of 2019. I started working on Cheating and Not Cheating, but it wasn't titled that yet. I think I was gonna title it like the I don't know. I think I was gonna call it either Men vs. Women Cheating or War on Love. I can't remember, but it was one of the two. But the process, it just kind of came developmental. And the reason I did it was because I found myself having the same conversation over and over and over about relationships. And I said, you know what? I can't be in a million places at once, but this book can. And I wanted to find a solution for the common relationship problems. So people look at the title, and the first thing they want to know is, why you say cheating is not cheating? What that mean? But, for me, I always say, don't let 4 words stop you from getting 200 valuable pages of information. I never said a cheater is not a cheater. I said cheating is not cheating. So, you just got to tap into the book to see. But the process was smooth. It only took me roughly about a month and some change to write it, and about 2-3 weeks to edit it, because I wrote and edited it. I published.
Oh yeah, you was locked in.
Yeah, I locked in, but I had nothing else to do. Now I'm working on my second book, and this process is completely different because I got a lot of shit to do. So I could be trying to write, but I got an interview. I'm preparing for a janaza tomorrow. Then I got to drive all the way back to Atlanta. Then I got to prepare for my grand opening for my event space. Then I still got clients to service with here to there. Then first time marketing is a constantly flowing business. So trying to, which is what I was talking about earlier when I said I'm trying to minimize my focuses. So I can finish my book, my second book. But then I talked to my team and I said, you know what? It might not be time to even finish it. So I'm just writing it as it comes. But that process was smooth because the world was on pause. Right. I didn't have to do shit. You get money coming in, bills is on pause, because where I lived, the apartment, they couldn't do nothing. I lived in a luxury apartment in Jersey. They couldn't do shit. So I wasn't giving them no money. I'm just focused. I'm locked in. And then when I started having to give them the bread, I was able to accumulate so much, it was fine. You know what I mean? But this process is completely different. So what I'm learning through this journey is, I thought it was sweet, but really I just had nothing else to do. I'm like, yeah, I wrote my book in a month. So everybody all amazed, but now here I am, been working on this book for some months now, and I think I'm only like 4 chapters in, and I only plan on doing like 12. So I got about 8 chapters to go, and it's gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be a fun one. I'm fucking with this. I ain't gonna lie, I'm impressing myself.
Okay. So sticking to cheating is not cheating. What motivated you to write about that concept, or the concept of male versus female perspective on woman versus man, the man perspective? Because in my opinion, I feel like the main difference between men and women, especially in relationships, is expectations.
Okay, yeah, I think the main difference, if I had to say, I think it really comes down to, well, I always say intent changes everything, and I just think it comes down to why we cheat versus why they cheat. I think that women look at how we cheat, like how they cheat, and that's why they emotionally be affected by it. Men look at how women cheat, like how they know in instances why a woman might cheat, or they might even project why a woman might cheat, and they end up being affected emotionally, and there's just no level of understanding. So the whole concept is just making people understand the other person. It's not about pointing the finger. It's about self-reflection and understanding. It's a communication book. Communication, understanding. How can I understand why a woman may have done this? How can a woman understand why I may have done this? So we can then, at least when we communicate, and it's coming from a level of understanding versus what I thought, what I assume, how I feel, you know what I mean? Them different emotions. But it's not just called men versus women cheating, which is what it could have been, is because I go in it's not just about that. It's about forgiveness. It's about pride. It's about ego. It's about double standards. It's so many other departments of relationships that I feel like is even more heavier on the demise of a relationship than cheating. Like, cheating ain't the leading cause to a breakup. If you ask me,
sometimes it's money.
I think it's pride and ego, which falls under pride and ego.
Yeah,
I think pride and ego is the leading factor into relationships failing. So, and it was just fun to do. I felt like it was a way for people to understand my mindset as a part of my legacy, me being able to leave behind. And I feel like no matter who you are and what you do in life, you have a relationship with somebody. So what better book to write than something that fits? I don't give a fuck what you do, what you believe in, what you are, what your sexuality is. You have a relationship with somebody. And with that being said, y'all got something that y'all need out of this book. So I just felt like it was universal.
No, I feel you.
Could have wrote a book or something, or could have wrote a bibliography or a novel, but what that would have been cool.
Right. And that's the good thing about your book, right? I noticed that it's 200 pages. It's digestible, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely plan on copying me a copy, you know, after this conversation for sure. But you know, I want to challenge you a little bit. You know, do you honestly believe women can truly step outside themselves, and men alike? Do you honestly think men and women can truly step outside themselves to understand the opposite sex perspective? Because you know, when it come to women, for some reason, women like to lean on women for the male perspective. It's strange to me.
How you gonna ask a woman about a man? A woman ain't never been a man.
Right. And then for men, you got men leaning on they big homies, or they might be leaning on dad to tell them how to maybe approach a woman or what a woman is maybe looking for. But so how do you bridge that gap?
You gotta make that decision within yourself to want to know. Like, this is where you become a student. You got to study. You got to want to learn women. You have to want to understand them. Because a lot of times men might try to blow off a woman's emotions, and like, you know what I mean? Because we as men are more in control, you know what I mean, of our emotions. Now, these new men, they're a little bit more emotional. They channeling their emotions wrong. But naturally, you know, we don't operate through our emotions. You know what I mean? Like, you ask a woman, you know, what she thinks, she's gonna tell you how she feels. Well, I feel like, I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, it's always like how they treat you, the respect they got, the loyalty they have, it's all gonna be fueled through their emotions. I can not fuck with you, but I can still respect you. You follow what I'm saying? So like, I can hate you, but still respect you. But like, you will see a sense of disrespect if they don't if they don't have no respect for you because of how they feel. So, you know, I think just once you understand that, then you will know like when a woman is more likely to disrespect you, step out on you, be there for you, leave you. You could kind of, and then if a woman understood how a man operate, whereas though, like, you know, I always say, the difference in us having sex is we don't have to open our legs to do it, and we don't have to open our hearts neither. So like that plays a big factor. So if you think I'm out here fucking women through my heart, and I'm really not, you know what I mean? It's just like that could change the way you view my behavior and how you interpret everything that go on. Not to justify it, because neither behavior is justifiable, whether a woman stepping out or a man stepping out. But if you understand, then you'll be less affected. It's not as personal. You know what I mean? You're not to figure out what's wrong with you. Like, well, what did I do or didn't do that could have prevented it? You just start to kind of understand, you know, what it was, and make it a little bit easier. But like I said, it's deeper than just cheating in itself. You know what I'm saying? It's not a page in my book that justifies cheating. All I do is make people take a moment to self-reflect and then try to understand the other person. If you are not in a position or a space to do that, you're not ready. Your mind has to be fertile for the information. You can't plan.
Bro, you just said something heavy. Your mind has to be fertile for the information.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how can the seed ever be nurtured if you're not willing to, you know, take it in, right? 100%. You know what I'm saying? And then even previously, before that, you mentioned the concept of ego, especially the male ego, because the male ego, that's our own worst enemy.
That's what we operate out of.
But why do you think that though? Why do you think we're designed to rely so much on pride and ego?
I don't think we rely on pride more so. I think that's more. I think men pride come into play involving other men. Men don't have pride with their women. Niggas will beg, plead, say, whatever. You know what I mean? Niggas ass. Men don't have pride in relationships. That's more of a woman thing. I ain't saying sorry. I ain't apologizing to you, even if they wrong. You know what I mean? And it take a lot, you know. But just getting back to the whole ego thing, it's just our status, bro. I would say it's something within how we wired within our nature. You know what I'm saying? It's just something about, you know, being number one. Something about, you know, feeling like that, you know, being a man or whatever the case may be. It's just how we operate. And I think the moment the women understood that, then they would know why a man want not a lot of money or fancy cars, or even why a man might want a lot of women. You know what I'm saying? Because I always tell women, I be like, yo, a man wants to be number one, even if it's all men in the room. It has nothing to do. Nigga want to be the strongest. He want to be the fastest. But we know we don't got to be number one at everything. Just something.
Right.
You just don't want to be you just don't want to be a slouch. Like, they're like, yeah, he's stronger than me, but I'm faster than him. Or he's faster than me, but I'm smarter than him. Or he's smarter than me, but I'm a hustler. And I'm more ambitious. Everybody just want their own identity, because at the end of the day, you want to be somebody when you go back to your fortress, to your household. So, you know what I mean? I think when women understand how our egos is and they properly stroke it, you know, they run less of a risk of a man feeling like he needs another chick to stroke his ego. Now, if a man, he want to do what he want to do. If he want to go run around and, you know, if that's what it is, you can't stop that neither. You know what I mean? Same as is if a woman want to do whatever, you can't stop that. But I think it's just who we are. It's our status. It literally But now having a weak ego or a strong ego, see, because if you somebody that can control your ego, you know, I don't operate out of ego. I have one, and like it comes up in certain instances, but not in the typical instances like about fashion or money. Like I don't operate out of my ego on that. When I was younger, yeah, but not now. So it's about certain stages of your life. You'll be able to tell where a man at in his life by what he's fueled by. Some men are driven by more success. Some men are driven by chasing pussy. Both equally ambitious, but where are you putting this energy? Where is your ambition going? So I think just helping women understand that, they'll be able to, because they always be like, well, how do you get a man to do this? Or what happened? It's just like, you got to know what phase he in his life. He's on that because this is where he's at. This is the level he's on.
Yeah, because to your point, you can't change.
You
can't change nobody. You can't change a man. You can't change a woman. Like you said, it all depends on what phase they in their life. You know what I'm saying? You could
travel and go club. You don't have to deal with that, but you can make her not do that.
Right. I think I was watching a podcast that you was on. I think it was the Gemini Scorpio podcast.
Yeah.
And they mentioned the idea of an ultimatum and boundaries.
Yeah.
And pretty much, I'm trying to key in on it, but
I think we was talking about I remember. I was it expectations and boundaries, or no, ultimatum, like basically,
because like
basically, like if you don't buy me bags and stuff, then I'm not. They were trying to make it like it was a requirement.
Right.
I think that's what it was.
Right, because y'all referenced the Dead Ass podcast, and they was talking about marriage and how women have an
he made her marry her,
exactly,
like that. She made her marry her for some pussy or something like that.
Right.
Whatever.
And the thing is though, like, you know, we as men, right? We, like I said, we rely on ego and it materializes in different ways. But women, believe it or not, they set the standard.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? They set the standard, and you know,
not all the time.
Anybody, not all the time, but any
yes, 100%.
Right, and not all the time, but anybody sets the standard for what they're willing to tolerate and what they're not willing to tolerate, right? And at that point, if you set those boundaries up front, say, okay, this is my expectation, this is what I'm looking for. If you're not it, all right, I should escape. That's the logical reaction the person probably would do, right?
No, hell no. You should stay far away from that because this ain't college, so you don't need no criteria to meet. You know what I mean? And expectations is all right. So people gotta understand the difference between standards and expectations. Standards are who you are. Expectations is who you try to make other people. So
okay.
I have a standard for how I operate. Like I'm not operating below that standard. So as long as I don't operate below that standard, I will never attract something below that standard. I can't expect you to meet my standard. If you don't, you just don't.
Right.
People go wrong when they take their standard and try to project it on the people. Which is, if you ain't this wouldn't start to sound like requirements. Like, well, damn, am I applying to get in college? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, you like, yeah, man, that's like if a chick like, yeah, I require this in her own head. So she know, she's not just about to commit to somebody that, whatever, I don't know. Whatever the example might be. She want to go on 3 dates before she fuck you. That's just in her own head. If she say that up front, like, yeah, you have to take me on 3 dates to fuck. Like, that don't even sound right. But she,
you see what I'm saying?
But she know her head.
That sounds something about a man you like.
Just, going about things this way. So, or for a man, like, I don't know, like, it's just like men, like how you said, women set the standard, but men still control it, right? So, if you think about the natural nature of us, and the natural nature of a woman, they want us to have the answers. And as a man, we should, because we should be solutionists, right? So, it's like, they know they're hungry, but don't know what they want to eat. Instead of a man saying, well, what you want to eat, right? He shouldn't be on the tip like, all right, if I ask her where she want to go, I give her all of the power to determine how much money I'm about to spend. And then I can't complain about where she want to go if I ask. Oh, I want to go to Jamaica for some poolside lunch. You can't be mad at her suggestion when you gave her the power. She said she was home. You know how much money you got. You pick the spot. Because now all she can do is say she did or didn't enjoy herself. But you still don't leave there feeling like, you know, somebody ran a hole in your pockets, or you know what I mean, you got gotten over on. So it's just like different things. But that whole standard and expectation thing is, like I said, standards is who you are. When you know who you are as a person, you're not gonna fall below that standard. And if you do, it's gonna feel uncomfortable. When you start talking about expectations, that's you trying to make people be something that you want them to be, and that's just no way to operate. So it's never okay to stay in the beginning. Well, I require this. You got to just read the situation for what it is, and either it works for you or it don't. But it's not a discussion that had to be had.
I'm glad you said that, because I feel like a lot of the times people continue to remain in situations that may not be good for them, but they still moving how they moving. You feel what I'm saying? So
that's because they think they can change.
Right, because a lot of people because like we said before, you can't change nobody. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes women, sometimes men, we enter relationships as if the plan is to change this person to 100%. The carbon copy version of what you want, and you can't 100%. Do that. This person is who they is. This person is who they are as they currently stand when you first get with them. Now, sure, right, exactly, and sure, as the relationship grows, you try to implement some things that you probably picked up along the way and say, hey, listen, like I was thinking about this, like how do you feel about implementing this into your mindset? Or, hey, have you thought about this? There's nothing wrong with giving that encouragement or pushing your significant other in a direction that you may think they may benefit from, right? But one thing I feel like no woman, no man should ever enter a situation is thinking your goal is to change this person into the checklist that you believe they should be.
Yeah. You saying people do or don't enter a relationship with that, Mom?
I feel like people shouldn't.
Oh yeah, they shouldn't. No, hell no.
Yeah. You should never enter a situation believing that your goal is to create this creative player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not build a man, build a woman.
Right.
You can basically, like you said, by way of suggestion, you can it's about helping add value or helping somebody grow. But you have to grow in their direction. You have to grow in your direction. You can't try to pull somebody in your direction, because that's not growth at that point. Now they actually decrease it. They decline it as opposed to growing. So I think that definitely just being able to allow people to I tell people don't do this. Well, just always leave room, because the relationship should do this. They should never do this. People think when you get closer, it's just like this. No, getting closer means the farther we apart, the more we connected. I mean, you could be in Brazil and I could be in the United States, and we still have a tight bond and connection because we're close. It's not, I got to smother you.
Word. Because somebody said, I heard somebody say the type of love that to me, well, not to me, but I heard somebody say to them, what real love is when you're able to sit next to somebody and just silence and understand that you don't need to perform.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right. It's energy. Love, I feel like love is energy. You feel love. Even when somebody expresses it, you feel it. So I feel like it's energy. I feel like people always try to define what it is, but I just feel like it's energy. Like, you feel it. Like it's a good feeling. You know what I mean? I feel like it's infinite. So if you can sit next to somebody in silence, you can still feel their energy. Right. Same way you're sitting in silence when you're mad. You can feel the energy. It's off. So, I just think it's energy, and it's how you connect to somebody's energy. You know what I mean? And I feel like the only unconditional love known to man right now might be the love that, people have for their children. Especially, like, you know what I mean? Like that just because you don't care if your kids love you back. I don't know if my kids appreciate me. They, I know they love me. They say they do, but I don't know. I don't do it for that. So like until you find a partner that make you feel like that, like whether you love me back or not, I love you, then you'll know like when it's real. You know what I mean? I love my mom regardless if my mom love me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
tell me about it. Like Mom Dukes is mad at me not so long ago. I'm like, listen, Mom, I'm still gonna say I love you. Like, it don't mean nothing. Like, you're gonna get over it. Like, but you mentioned earlier. You mentioned you've been working on your second book. It's funny you jump right ahead of me. What should people expect? From your second book. Will it still be relationship based? Will it be lean more towards just pure self-help?
Both. So it's definitely in the space of relationships. I got a couple different books that I started, but this one that I think I'm gonna put out next, definitely in the space of relationships. And what people can expect is definitely going to be attention grabbing again, but it's with good intent. You know what I mean? But I just gotta ruffle feathers. Like it's just naturally what I like to do is entertaining, and I like to open up people's mind. But the first book I wanted is a guide to helping men. Helping women understand men. This guide I'm more so going to help men understand women to the best of my ability through now see, Cheating Not Cheating wasn't written from my perspective or my experiences. This second book is more so learning from other people's experiences, my own experiences, and what I've known from experiencing women or the things that women might have told me, because I'm not a woman. So this is me just like, being that old head that's giving, or whatever, that person that's just giving you the tips. This isn't really a book where I can say this is facts. Because cheating not cheating is a fact. That's a factual statement. Cheating is not cheating. It's a fact. It's a fact. It's not nothing around that. Like if I'm saying, I never said a cheater is not a cheater, but I said cheating not cheating. That statement is a fact. This second book is not a fact. It's more so these are tips. This is a self-help relationship book.
So should people expect more personal anecdotes in that John from you, just about your past?
No, I haven't included myself. I'm not really big on teaching through my experiences, like by way of, oh yeah, one time I was dealing with a girl, and I don't mind. And I was going to put some bonus chapters in the Cheating and Not Cheating and talk about that because I knew people was going to know about my experiences. But it's more so by way of different analogies. But still, I may incorporate a little bit of stuff that I went through just because. But it's not going to be the whole book now.
I feel you.
I like to use information that's universal. Like I want you to be able to align yourself with it, not just if you connect with me through the experience, but because this is information that's universal. So I try to write from that perspective. So I'm not biased.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Like that, bro.
And this book is going to help women just as much as it helped men. You know what I mean? Because women going to see it and be like, oh, what the fuck? Let me see what he's talking about. Yeah, for the men that's fertile and within the mindset of wanting that information, they're gonna find value in it, because so many women have expectations of men, and men just don't know. Like I hang with, I help my friends and friends of friends, and they just don't be knowing, and like that just really would it be. And I could just tell them where they going wrong all the time. And it's like, even with the show that I'm working on, I'm like, yo, and my laptop on 4%. So if it abruptly cuts you, that's what it was.
No, I feel you are good, because we actually starting to close.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm gonna just end it there. I'm gonna just say basically like that a lot of men just don't know, and a lot of women expect them to know, and they just don't know because they never was shown it. They never was told. They don't know. They never been exposed to it. They don't know. This man don't know how to be a man because he never seen it before.
No, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So
how to be an advocate and a mentor for just let's make men again.
I like that. And just in closing, my final question. Some people are so afraid to bet on themselves, and at times, we all go through those moments of doubts, those moments of when things aren't so clear, because we're human.
Right.
What advice and motivation can you offer to those who are potentially hesitant to go all in on their business, their idea, or maybe their creative content?
It's your business, it's your idea, and it's your creative content. Can't nobody take it where you wanted to go, because can't nobody see what you see, and nobody coming to save you. Like, I don't know if you think that if you send an SOS, somebody gonna come open the door, give you an opportunity. These opportunities may present themselves, but only if you seize them. You have to seize the moment, you have to create the moment, and you have to create the opportunity. Everything that you want to do is up to you. Nobody coming to save you. So if you're not going to bet on yourself, then there's no sense of putting your money down, because I'm damn sure as hell not about to put my money on somebody else. You know what I mean? So you just got to have that faith, and you got to know, like, it's just like knowing when you know what you know and you know what you're doing, you don't have nothing to worry about. If you're not confident yet, then study as much as you need to become confident, and find faith in failing. You only learn when you fuck up. You never learn something from getting something right. You just got it right. If you got X 2 + 2, it's going to be 4 every single time. You would never learn something from being asked that question ever again, because you know it already. You only learn from what you don't know, and after you fuck up. So have faith in failing. When you fail, it's not the end. It's really a lesson. You know what I mean? So just when you're scared of, if you're afraid to bet on yourself, just know that if you gamble and you take that little quick L, just whatever you got from it was what you were supposed to get from it, and go back and do that shit again, but do it differently this time with wisdom. You know what I mean? We moving forward with wisdom.
I like that, y'all. And on that note, my man, Naiym Wolf Dingle, my man, I'm so grateful for you just coming on to the Let's Be Honest podcast, rocking out with me. Super grateful too, my man Donnie Menzel, for linking us together, man. Like this conversation has just been. This conversation just been, enlightening in so many different ways, my man. And like I said, I'm super grateful for you. Also, I want the people to understand. I want y'all to go check out Cheating is Not Cheating. Y'all can find it on Amazon. It's only 200 pages, so it's very easy to digest. You can get the Kindle version of it, or you can get the paperback version. My man is definitely out here putting out some great content, dropping some amazing jewels for the people. And, we just so grateful for him for gracing Let's Be Honest podcast with his presence. Naiym, was it for sure, bro? Is there anything else you want to promote before you get out of here?
Yeah, definitely. Just follow me on all social medias with WSC. Cheating Not Cheating available on Amazon, is available Barnes and Noble, Walmart, other websites, easy accessible on my website, thewolfhasspoken.com. Just stay tuned for my journey. I'm working on a show right now. It's not going to be a podcast, but it's going to be more so of a show. So I'm working on a show right now, and I'm working on a book. And, just continue to follow the journey. So that's just that. Add me on social media. Go grab Cheating Not Cheating. And remember, I said cheating, not cheating. I never said a cheater is not a cheater.
And on that note, y'all, thank y'all for locking in. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II, and y'all have been locked in on the Let's Be Honest podcast. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry.
Man, let me tell you about them dark days. Bet you don't know about them cold nights. I watched my homie break the code twice. Guess that's why my heart froze. Been through some shit and only Lord knows. Doing 150 on the wrong road.